See what we can find here. Put it out there that we're going live, huh? Nah, we'll leave it alone. There we go. Everything looks good there. Let's see what's going on there. Hide the video. Bring up the chat. Do you want to bring up the chat? I do want to bring up the chat. Put a little test in there. Boom, baby. Trying something new. Trying something new tonight with the music. So last week I get that going. Last week I exported the video. Tried to watch a video on the YouTube channel and it just sounded like shit. But I figured it out. I needed to bring the music in from a completely different channel, not this one. So yeah, figured that out. It's good, right? Got a couple minutes still. I don't have anybody in the chat, I don't believe. If I do, great. If I don't, great. We'll get to it, right? How about this? This is better? Oh, yeah. My voice is cracking. Just hit puberty this morning. Trying to make sure I eliminate... man, there I go again. Let's check this volume. How's this volume coming out? Is it maxing it out? It is maxing it out. Trying to make sure that I don't blow the mic up here. Trying to make sure it sounds decent, right? Also trying to make sure I can limit a lot of the things that are coming through in the background. Testing, testing. There we go. Right there. I think that sounds pretty good, huh? Getting there. All right. We get a little silence. Good evening, fellow gamers out there all across the world, wherever you are, wherever you're listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Growing Up Gaming podcast. This is week 3. I can't believe we're in week 3 already. Kind of crazy to me. It is Sunday, October 30th, 2016, live from Tampa, Florida. If you're listening later, I'm still in Tampa, unless it's much later, then I might be in Anaheim for BLIZZCON. What? So let's see, what have I been up to this week? Several things. I'm in game as always. I did some raids Monday and Wednesday. That's my raid nights. We went in on Monday after failing miserably on scenarios for a couple of raid nights. Not full raid nights, but a couple of raid nights. Just had a really hard time. Got them to 50% every time. Just couldn't quite break that hump. We go in on Monday, so a day after the show. And what do? One-shot him. That's right. Oh. Yeah, let's do that again. First time using the soundboard. Yeah, one-shot scenarios. How about that? On Heroic, that is. We don't have any aspirations of doing Mythic. That's not our bag. We're all too old for that shit. And then Right after that, went into Xavius on Heroic, made several attempts on that, and then last pull Magic, we end raid at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. About 11:25, we said, okay, this is the last pull. We'll come back in next week to finish it up. Nope, we downed them right then. Beautiful thing. Loved it. We decided to go with the 3-tank method to maximize our efficiency with corruption. If you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I don't care. I won't go too much into it, but ultimately you get a bar that you don't want to get too full because you'll go crazy. You'll batshit crazy on everybody and start killing the raid. So had 3 tanks going back and forth with that. It worked out pretty good. Night before the patch, too. So it didn't matter if you did Heroic Xavius before 7.1 or after 7.1, but or during 7.1, but we got him anyway, and that was something. It wasn't a guild goal necessarily, but it was my goal. I wanted to get that guy down before 7.1 launched, and we did. 0 hour, got it done. What else happened? Well, let's talk about legendaries for a second. I started writing my notes this week on how legendaries are. They're kind of elusive. I wasn't going to bitch about it too much. And I had in my notes already that I had not gotten a legendary yet. Wasn't really expecting to get one. And then last night, because I save up my emissaries sometimes, I did all 3 sets of my emissaries. Turned in the last one at Valhryar. And what was in there? That's right. A legendary. I got my legendary last night. All right, got it last night. My first one. Okay, I'm already hooked up to where I can get 2. But of course, I only have 1. Now, it's not really the best. Not the best legendary, I don't think. I haven't even looked at what the best in slot legendaries are. I'm just so happy to have one that I'll wear it, right? The effect in that one, it does something where it's a ring. I've seen other people get it. They posted screenshots on Twitter. If you successfully apply a loss of control effect on X, then you get like movement speed, 70% movement speed, and 10 or 20% haste on it. I don't quite remember which one it was. So, hey, I decided to try it out. So right after that, we're up there turning in the quest for Valhryar, and we start in this big world PvP thing. There was about 10 Hordes, about 10, 15 Alliance guys, and we're going around just killing each other. It was a really good time. But it really made me think about how the legendaries are going right now. So I butted into a conversation. I tend to do that. Well, that's what social media does, though. It's out there. You can do it. I saw a conversation going on. In fact, somebody had linked a picture of that same legendary that they had gotten, and everybody was talking about it and thinking about it. They mentioned, hey, maybe it's something 7.1. Hey, how about that? Phone's ringing. I apologize for that. Let me turn notifications off. No. Edit that out in the audio podcast. So anybody listening live, I apologize. Anyway, they suggested that maybe the drop rate had increased in 7.1. That maybe there are some secret things that were included in the patch that just weren't announced, and maybe that's true. But putting 2 and 2 together, and the way my mind works with how I'm doing this show and what it's meant for, is I'm looking at the folks who are getting their first legendary right now versus the folks who got legendaries weeks ago. And one thing that we have in common today is that it seems to be the grown folks that are getting legendaries, the people who could not dedicate the hours necessary in the earlier weeks. And while it may be RNG, Ian Hazukosis did say a couple weeks ago that there are anti-bad luck measures in place. So the more you fail at getting a legendary, the more likely you are to get one. Don't know what kind of multiplier we have in that, but now that I got mine yesterday, saw some other people around my age group / responsibility level start posting theirs in social media forums and whatnot, and I'm putting 2 and 2 together. Maybe I'm reaching. Maybe it's just a coincidence completely, but I'm going to pretend that that's what it is, that we're finally getting to a point where those anti-bad luck measures are playing into our favor because 2 months into the game, we're there. So game on, girl folks. Game on. But speaking of that, I didn't have one, and it was in the notes I didn't have one, but I wasn't upset about it. It was one of those things where, I like the feeling that it is supposed to feel legendary. the cloak, I mean, I always wanted a legendary. My first real raid was ICC, and I wanted Frostmourne, but I knew, or Shadowmourne, whatever the hell it was. I knew because of my position in the raid group that I had no shot of ever getting that thing while it was current, right? I didn't care. I was a healer in Firelands when the dragon stick was out there, whatever that thing was, Terragosa. He turns you into a dragon. I knew for certain I wasn't going to get it then because I'm a healer. Nobody gave that shit to healers because it was for a DPS dot or whatever. But then we get to Mist, and everybody got the cloak, and yeah, it was cool to have an orange slot, but everybody's getting it. It's not anything that's surprising. It's not like the heavens open and the angels are singing down. Here's a legendary. It's you get it, and everybody got it. And the same way with the ring last time, and I'm kind of surprised they went that way on two separate expansions to where everybody gets the same thing at the same rate. I'm not knocking necessarily because I still enjoyed having it. It was a fun thing to have, a fun on use effect in both scenarios. But this time, it's like you're anticipating. You know you're probably going to get one. You're not guaranteed, so they say, but you know you're probably going to get one. You just don't know when. And then it pops, and you're like, "Holy shit! Did I just get a legendary?" And you did, and you put it on. You're bragging about it. It pops up in guild, and you're posting it on social media. It's a good feeling. So that's something that I enjoy about the way the legendaries are now. But there is a problem that some people have posed, and I kind of agree that there are subpar legendaries and not completely useless and not subpar to where, oh, this effect is better than others, but some are just completely useless for some people. You know, I had some interactions on Twitter last week, and I speak about Twitter often because it's a great tool to get in with the community, to get a feel for what the community as a whole is doing. So a Holy Pally in my raid a couple weeks ago got his first legendary off the first boss, first heroic boss, Holy Paladin. So the legs drop, the legs for prot. And some will say, well, the effect might not be ideal. And I don't like the use of the word ideal in this scenario because the effect on that legendary was for an ability that a Holy Pally doesn't even have access to. So it's not something where you can say it's not ideal. It's just it can't be used. He submitted tickets to the GM thinking it was a bug. GMs came back, and he did twice. GMs came back and said, no, working as intended. It's meant to drop for your class in any spec, not just the spec that you're in. So then the only issue that I really have with it is, I want to be clear that I like the fact that he was able to get his legendary, and he has it equipped. I get it. It's the stats on it and the socket are outstanding, right? That alone makes it worthwhile at $895 versus whatever $840, $825 thing that he had on. That was great. But if we're going with, we want you to play, if Blizzard wants us to play a spec, if they like the spec idea because you're dumping all this artifact in, why not take that legendary role and ensure that you're getting something that's meant for that spec, something that has a proc that's usable on all the specs. And back to the Hazukosa's conversation where he said, you know, maybe it's not ideal when a priest gets the absorb neck versus something that's more DPS friendly, but it might come in later for utility. That's fine. But my Holy Paladin raid team member is not going to have a time where he can use that Avenger Shield or whatever it is that comes off of there. I forgot, and I should have probably looked that up so I could see what it is. And you guys probably already know what it is or have seen it or can find it. But he can't use it. There's never going to be a time where he's going to be able to use that effect. It's only going to be a stat stick. And if you roll something that's going to be an 890 or an 895 that's not legendary, it might go in that slot versus those pants. And that's a place where I don't think a legendary should be. It shouldn't be in a place where something of equal eye level can be replaced because the stats just aren't working out for you. Anyway, that's kind of a rant. Didn't mean to go on that long, but it is what it is. Something else that happened this week with 7.1, cost of consumables have gone down just a little bit. I've been buying a couple flasks here and there. But the blood vendor came in, Blood of Sargeras. I don't know how you say it, if it's Gary or Jerry, but either one came in. He'll trade you just a shit ton of whatever you need for one Blood of Sargeras. And if anybody's like me, you've got just stacks and stacks of this stuff sitting in your bags from when you were leveling, doing world quests, whatever. So I was able to help replenish some of our guild bank, and I used maybe 30 bloods, and I was able to put 300 or 400 herbs in, different kinds, and that's kind of nice. And I still have a couple hundred of those bloods sitting in my bags to use whenever I need to. But here's what I'm wondering. So it was clearly something that they wanted to put in there to help curb the costs, right? They stick it in there. People are dumping their bloods in, pulling their stuff out. That's pushing the market down a little bit. But that blood supply, well, it sounds like we're talking about something medical, right? The supply of bloods is going to go down considerably, back to something that's more reasonable pretty soon. And with that, the market's not going to be as flooded with materials, with consumables. Those things are going to be gone. So the prices are going to go right back up again to where they were. And I think that that's a problem. And I think they're addressing that. I don't keep up with the news as much as some people do. But I'm pretty sure that they've acknowledged the economy, they've acknowledged the accessibility to some of these things, and have realized that, hey, maybe we need to reevaluate how we make this stuff available. But I tell you what, the cost of consumables has done for groups like ours is we've shifted the psychology, and I really like that it's done that for us. So we've been before, even in the raids that I've been in, where you're flashed max level food, 2 pots on every pull. I don't care if it's progression, if it's a farm night, if it's old shit that in the same instance, or if you're doing normal, whatever it is. That was the mentality, and I don't think anybody had a problem with it because everything was more affordable. Well, this time, we've had to really take a different look on it, and now it's we're potting, but maybe we're using the Draenor pots because they're cheap, and it's still a pretty good stat bump. 1,000 versatility or 1,500 versatility, 1,000 agility, 1,000 intellect, whatever you want for those pots. That's something that I can deal with for cheap. The Flask of the Old War or whatever it is, man, screw that. A grand a pop for that, or 750 right now while the market's down. Not going to happen. Now, some of these guys and girls in my raid are going to use some of those things, and that's fine for them. But the psychology is that the expectation's not there, and I think that's the mark of a mature group, really. Because now, instead of going ham on everything, it's let's really figure out when we need to use these expensive resources and when we can kind of lay low on them. I like the way we're doing that. What else I got going on? Leveled up my Alliance Demon Hunter. I got him. He's almost at 110. I just haven't really had the time dedicated to getting him all the way up there. But what's interesting, and some people said, hey, I posted this out there, and some people said, yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen other people say it. But I leveled from 108 to 109 from the Legion app. That tripped me out. I was almost to 109 when I had to log out a few days ago. Got out of there. I decided to check my little mission thingies. I went in. I had 2 missions there, popped them up, and then something said it popped up on the screen, level up. And I thought, well, it doesn't say that when the followers level up. So what's this thing talking about? I look, and sure shit, there I am, 109. So I thought that was really neat. And for anybody who doesn't know that happens, well, it does. So I wouldn't plan on it. If you're going to level that way, it's going to take you forever, and you're going to run out of resources long before you make a full level. But it's there. It's an option. So if you're teetering on the edge, you don't have time, don't feel pressured to get it done right now. Start some missions, log out, get some sleep. Tomorrow, pop your missions, maybe a level, right? Karazhan. I have not done Karazhan yet. It came out last Tuesday. I haven't even stepped foot in it. I did get attunement done. I thought attunement was easy, and they made it really nice to where the quest to do 4 mythics and attunement kind of coincided with each other. So that was something that was like, oh, well, it's not really remarkable except for the little quest at the end. But where am I at? I'm sorry. I did get some nice gear for doing the attunement quest. I think you get a chest at the end, so that was nice. But so the class hall missions coming out of there. It's either a class hall mission or the Karazhan attunement, one of the two. I got the chest for something. I enjoyed it. I equipped it. It's on right now. I don't even remember what it was, but I thought, oh, cool, this is nice. It was heroic level gear. But the point was, I like how these things are tying together. The Legion app, the World Quest, the class hall missions, the new dungeons, everything everything that's out there and in game ties together. So if I'm doing, when I did Draenor garrison missions, it was pretty much set that that's all I had going for me there was the Draenor mission or the garrison mission. Send a guy out, he brings you back stuff. It was kind of mindless, you did it on your own, whatever. But this time, I can choose different ones in my class hall that are going to lead me to other things. Hey, now that you did this class order hall mission, now we want you to actually go on the raid and prove your shit to us, or go into a mythic and do it. The app making my tune level, or sending me off to do some crazy thing in High Mountain or whatever. That's nice. You know, I got a quest today, or not today, this week from my class hall to kill Il'gynoth. You know, got a couple nice upgrades from doing things like that. Got a skinning. My professions, my skinning profession sent me in the raid again to loot the hide of Nathindra. So all this stuff is great, man. It's stuff going together. It's making everything flow. It's beautiful, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are so, what's the word for it? Enamored by Legion. Still, I mean, there's a lot to do. We talked about that last week, but it's not one-sided. You don't raid and just raid. You don't do dungeons and just dungeon. You don't just do your order hall. You do everything, you know, together, and it works together. That's enough. I'm rambling. What else did I do this week? This will wrap up my week. We've gone a lot longer than I want to on this, and we may look at how I'm going to adjust my format later. But I did get it in some other games, which is really nice. I started playing Hearthstone again, mobile, because I don't have time. We'll get into that later in the actual topic of the show. Hearthstone on my phone, and then Overwatch on the computer, which, man, I haven't been in Overwatch since Legion launched, not one time. And I thought, well, this Halloween thing is going on. Let's nail it down, get in there. And I gotta say, even after that break, Zenyatta is still my boy. So I didn't get any skins for him. That's the guy I like to play. I always feel like I'm late to the party when it comes to getting into the new patches and stuff. But I had a good time playing Overwatch. Don't know, I'm not competitive, just casual. Just had a really good time. So now here we are. By the way, I've got no show next week. I know for all of my listeners out there. Actually, I've had about 40 or 50 per week, which is nice. Thank you so much for your support. No show next week. I thought about putting some together and then having it scheduled to post next Sunday, but I'm not going to. I don't have enough content yet to really worry about that. But BLIZZCON, again, there was a blue post on the forum and specifically addressed that there would be no discussion of legacy servers at BLIZZCON, but that there were indications that talks will happen afterward. That was a pretty big piece of BlizzCon news this week, and I know some other folks out there have already talked about it, but the way I see it is, if folks want to play that badly, I don't understand what the draw is, except for just having a nostalgia game. Somebody else I listened to earlier said, "Hey, I can play. I'll use a different game than they use, but I can always pop in an old Call of Duty game and play that game anytime I want. Why can't I play this game?" And I think it's different. I think Call of Duty, if one comes out now and one comes out next year, those are different titles within the same umbrella. Whereas World of Warcraft is a living world. The story continues on. So I don't understand the draw. Now, I say that with an asterisk, because if a legacy server came out, I would probably roll a tune and play. And the biggest reason is not for nostalgia, but because I did not play in vanilla. And I don't know what people are talking about. I think it's going to be annoying to play in vanilla, but yeah, I would do it just to say. Other BlizzCon news, Weird Al Yankovic is coming to BlizzCon, and everybody knows that already. And man, that caused a shitstorm on Twitter. Good God, you guys are, some folks out there, not you guys as a whole, but some of you, man, get your britches out of your ass crack or something, because I can't believe some of the reactions out there that we've had. I'm not a concert guy. I know some people really care about the concert. Not being a concert guy, my opinion is going to be biased, right? Because I don't really care who's coming. I don't give a shit. Now, last year we did sit for a good 20 minutes or so and listen to, I don't even remember who it was. Was it Blink-182 or Linkin Park or something like that? I don't remember. But I'm not there for that. And if you're there for the concert, great, but shit, man, you paid $200 to go to a concert that lasts 2 hours out of a whole weekend event. I put the question out there on Twitter. I'm like, hey, what do you think about concerts at other events where that's not the main headline? Yeah, and I got a great response back from Marconin. Wow, you guys know him. He said, I consider it a free bonus to attending BlizzCon. It's an added expense Blizzard doesn't have to spend, but they do anyway. I think that perfectly sums it up. What we're paying for, what we're going to see are game announcements from the company that we love, to demo new things from the same company, to watch tournaments and esports. Man, that stuff is fun. But the last couple hours on Saturday night, man, I'm making the most of that. And I'm going to either play Cards Against Humanity with my guildies, or I'm going to meet up with folks in the Hilton lobby or something. I'm going to do something more fun than sitting and watching a concert for 2 hours. Now, keep in mind, I'm probably going to sit through a little bit because I was a big Weird Al fan when I was a kid. So this, I talk about nostalgia a lot. This plays on the things that I can relate to as a kid. Man, I would sit in the back of my mom's Datsun station wagon that could barely make it up a hill and listen on my Walkman, my cassette Walkman, to Weird Al songs, all the parodies, all the polkas that he used to do, and I loved it. I had Weird Al books, like the little autobiographical books that he had put out there, and I had a great time. Every album that he made up to a certain point, I owned them, I listened to them, I knew every word. It was great. At my age now, looking back on it, it's nostalgic, and I want to see him, but I'm not going to stay there the whole time, right? So the BlizzCon app and the schedule are out as well. It's other BlizzCon news. I downloaded it 2 days ago, and I haven't checked it since yesterday. I downloaded it 2 days ago, and I'm thinking, oh, let's try to make a plan. I always download the app, and I never plan out what I want to do, and I probably don't know how to use the app. But when I'm looking at the schedule of events, it's all esports. Okay, cool. So I want to go see some esports, right? But that's not the only thing I want to see. I logged in there. I'm looking for what's going to be announced here. When is this? When is that? Like I said, probably not using it right. So I feel rushed a lot of times during my day to do other shit anyway. But man, you got to spread that out a little bit, I think. Not just have the esports schedule on there. If you want to cater to that crowd this year, great. We can do that. But anyway, I'm not going to harp on that too. We've already been doing this for a little while. I want to move on. The last piece of BlizzCon news is make sure you guys are checking out the community events. There's lots of them out there. Wowhead, Curse, whatever, all the big names, of course. My favorite ones that are out there that are going to be put on are some that I know that are put on by the community and not companies or organizations. We've got Con Before the Storm out there. DitchCon's coming out. That's a Pwnecast, folks. A well-played party. I know Jules from Torrent Think Tank has busted her ass putting that out there. I really dig this kind of stuff when the community does these kind of things. And sure, these are jobs for some people, but you think this is more grassroots, man. These things they're completely community driven, for the community, by the community. And I really like seeing that. So I fully intend on going to at least two of these. I'm not going to say which two, but I fully intend to go to two. I intended to go to them last year and didn't make it. So we're going to do a little bit better this time and make it and see some of my buddies there. Speaking of time and managing that time, this week's topic is time management and game life balance. Now that you've endured 25 minutes of my ranting, let's get into it, shall we? So I spend a lot of time in WoW, right? But there are other games I'm really interested in, even if I don't dedicate a lot of time or any time at all. And you'd say, well, if you're interested in those games, why don't you just play those games? You can put that game down and play the other games. Well, I choose to spend my time in WoW for specific reasons, and it's mostly due because I want to make sure that my character, and I've alluded to this before, I want to make sure that my character is the best that he can be for my raid team. How do I approach it? I did find an article. I did go out there and find an article, several articles. I read 3 or 4 of them. Kotaku, man, I'm probably screwing that up. But there was an article on Kotaku, and I'll link it in in the notes, so if you want to go see it yourself, that had a bunch of different tips on managing your game life balance. I think there were 5 to 7. I found a few that, and this is the reason why I like the article. These few ways to manage your game life balance really rang true to how I do it. And again, still looking for some. I got some announcements later, but I'm still looking for someone who might want to come help, because I'm going to give my perspective while I'm on here, right? Because it's just me for now, monologue, if you will. And if I get some other people, then we can have some dialogue about it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts when I get done. If you have some feedback, some questions, or if you approach things differently, then we'll talk about how you can get in touch with me there. So limiting my time, limiting your time is one way to strike a good game life balance. We have dedicated raid nights twice a week, so there's 6 hours. There's 6 hours I'm guaranteed I'm going to be online playing games. Now I'm married. I have kids. So, I have to make sure that I can spend time outside of the game with them. And even before the expansion launched and we decided when our raid times were going to be, I had that conversation with my wife. Hey, by the way, because I took a break for about 6 months prior to Legion. And so, by the way, we're talking about raiding again, and I want to tank again, which is, to me, it's an important role. I got to be there every time. And she said, yeah, sure, go for it. She asked me the times, when it was going to be. I had to lay that out there. So there's my 6 hours. But you're not going to be efficient as a raider, as a tank, if you're just coming in game 6 hours a week and that's it, right? So there are some times peripherally where I have to get in and make sure I've done at least one challenging mythic plus 2 not challenging in my gear level. This week I did a +7. It was really difficult for me. I enjoyed it. It took us about an hour and a half. No, it did not. 48 minutes, because it was a 44-minute timer and we didn't make it by 4 minutes. So a challenging mythic plus, and I get my emissaries done. Now the emissaries aren't done daily. I get bored with them. I don't necessarily like them, but to help maximize my gear and maximize in any playtime, the more you play, the better you are at it. To maximize everything, then I'm doing all my emissaries and trying to get a legendary, which happened last night. So maybe I'm less motivated. And I don't do them every day. Sometimes I'll wait 3 days and I'll let all those stack up and I'll do them all at the same time or all within the same session. But I do make sure they're done, right? But then how do I world quest? If I don't like world questing, I'm going to make sure that I do it the most efficiently. And so how do I do that? I'll prioritize world quests that meet a couple of qualifiers, right? So 1, do they give me something substantial as a reward? So I'm looking for, okay, I'll back up. Sorry, I'll back up a little bit. Our guild, we have 1 alchemist right now, or 2 alchemists that are making mats to help the raid out, right? So everybody's not relying on their own funds for flasks and everything. But all that the guild master has asked is that we provide the guild with herbs. That seems easy. With 20 to 25 people that we have showing up every day or every night to raid, we should be able to fill that pretty quick. So, excuse me. So I'm looking for rewards that are not just gear related, but if I have a world quest in a zone where I'm trying to get emissary quest done, the first thing that I'm looking for is, where is the herb world quest or leather world quest? Leather's selfish. I sell that in the auction house. But I'm looking for those. I'm going to help the guild, and I'm going to help myself complete the world quest. 2, am I finding gear? Is there any gear out there that's going to be better? At this point, I'm at 868 right now, which isn't the best, but it's pretty good. There's not a whole lot of gear out there that's going to do me that much good. So then now I'm looking for artifact power or order resources. That's a secondary qualifier. And the last qualifier, aside from targeting the ones that reward herbs, I'm looking at world quests that are kind of off to the side. The ones, you've seen them out there, excuse me. You've seen the ones that are all clumped up together. I look for the ones that are kind of off to the side, because I know everybody's going to be doing the clumped up ones because they're right there and they're more time efficient that way. But I go to the ones that are off by themselves because those are usually good paths to farm even more herbs or more ore, so I can put the herbs in the bank. I just feel like I'm being more accomplished this way, right? It does have some drawbacks the way I approach things, and everything has some pluses and minuses. So, I do efficiency based or function based playtime for the most part, right? And so there are often times when people will come in the guild chat and they'll say, "Hey, Nasty," they call me Nasty in the guild. "Hey, Nasty, you want to come tank this whatever real quick?" And most of the time I'll say no, no, thank you, thanks for the invite. So it might be looked at as, oh, he's antisocial, or we can never rely on him to come tank this other stuff. He only raids, whatever. But it's because I'm very um, what's a function? I've got a to-do list when I go in game. And some people may say, hey, well, this can't be fun. It's a chore that way. But see, it is for me. And that's the beauty of gaming how we game, right? It's fun for me because I want to maximize my 6 hours of commitment that I led with. I want to maximize those 6 hours. And the best way for me to do that as my primary goal is to put in the work to make sure I'm helping the guild. I'm helping the raid get their mat so that we're not all scrounging for flask. And I can get everything done while I make myself have time to spend time with my family. And I do like to spend. I watch TV with my wife. I play other video games with my kids or kid. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Football on weekends, grilling out, going to the beach, fishing, my other passionate hobby, all those things because I maximize an efficiency-based model for my gameplay. Excuse me. So, number 2, how else are we going to have a better game life balance, right? Skipping the extra stuff. Again, this is on Kotaku.com. I probably said it wrong. The link will be in the notes. I don't do pet battles. I get it. It might be fun for other people. I have one level 25 pet, and that's only because what's that little thing in your garrison gave you a free coin for showing up? So I got that. I don't do it. It doesn't fit my time budget. I haven't done any relevant meta achievements since Throne of Thunder, so I'm not looking for the current Dungeon of the Hero or Hero of the Dungeon guy. I'm not looking for the glory of the current raid dragon, anything like that. It was a priority for me once upon a time in my life. It's not there for me anymore. I want to kill bosses with my friends, and that's it. But what I will say is at the end of an expansion, when we have the lull, when everybody's dying down, not doing anything, I'll go back and try to do some of those things with some groups. But skipping that extra shit really helps free up my time. Again, tying back to I'm now approaching the game how I want to. I'm being efficient. I'm gathering herbs. I'm helping the raid, and I can maximize my 6-hour commitment raid time. So this is all coming back. It's all links together, and then all that again leads to more time with my family. Keeping your library tight, man. This is something. So there are 4 of these points that I really like, and out of the 4 of them, 3 of them I practice. And one I don't practice, but I love the idea, and that's this one. Steam had a great sale back in the summer, the 4th of July sale, and I went ham, and I just bought games left and right because everything was dirt cheap. Some things were 90% off, 75% off. It was huge. I love new games. I love them, but I just don't have time to play them. So I've got I've got this game library. Even from this year, I'm not even counting things I've bought in the past, but even from this year that I've bought, all the BioShocks, I have not gotten past much of anything. I bought like 4 Castlevanias. I've gotten through 1.5 of those. Really, it's Warcraft for the things that I said before, and I usually pick one other game that week that I'll put a little bit of time into. This past week it was Overwatch, and I talked about that earlier. Zenyatta, I love playing him, but I don't play ranked because I don't put enough time into it to be good. This upcoming week, what's it going to be? I don't know. I started playing Hearthstone again, like I said, mobile on my lunch break earlier. Rocket League, I could get back into that one because, man, I spent a lot of hours in that one. But keeping the library tight and being able to manage your temptation on getting into the game will help that game life balance to where you're not feeling like you always have to be in some sort of game to manage your life. Right? Man, this whole puberty thing at 40 years old, boo, big boo. I don't know what's going on. My voice cracking like crazy tonight. I forgot I had that boo until right now. Anyway, The last point, one of the things that can help find that balance is to integrate the gaming into your real life. And this is something that it's one of those, you don't know you have a problem until you have to solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it, right? That was so cheesy. It's a dad joke. That's what happens when you turn 40. Anyway, I love this integrated gaming into your real life. It has some catches for me, but it works in a lot of places. So my sons, I have 2 sons. My sons are gamers. Man, they take after their dad. My 10-year-old has this year discovered the joys of PC gaming, and that makes me so happy. His game of choice right now is Team Fortress 2. I don't enjoy that game, but I'll get to that. My 19-year-old is a big Xbox kind of guy. He's not really into the PC games. He's very familiar with PC games. He does some amateur app development stuff and some Photoshop, some creativity things that he has going on his computer. So he's savvy, but he'd rather play Xbox, and that's fine. I don't have an Xbox, and I don't have any intention of getting one necessarily. So we play different things. But what better way to spend some time with my 10-year-old, for instance, and we'll get to the ways that I work with the other ones. What better way to spend quality time with my 10-year-old than doing something he enjoys and something I enjoy as well? Now, I could force him. When I was raised, I was raised doing things that I enjoyed, but I was also raised doing things I didn't enjoy. My dad took us, all of us boys, I'm the oldest of a bunch of boys, took us all to karate lessons. I hated them. I didn't want anything to do with them. But we had to go twice a week, and it was like, blah, blah. I didn't want to do them. I hated them. My son, I could do the same thing. I could say, son, you're going to go fishing with me because I love fishing. And he might be into it every now and then, but he's not really into it. So how much of that is quality time for him? Might be quality time for me because I get to do something that I enjoy, but it doesn't do anything for him. So I can jump into a Team Fortress 2 game, right? It's not my favorite. There's a lot of things in it that I could care less for, but guess what? I'm playing games and I'm bonding with my kid at the same time. It's efficient. Again, it all ties together, right? Back to the efficiency of maximizing what you're doing in game. I'm not doing anything in Team Fortress to better my raid character, but what I'm doing is I'm building more of a relationship with my 10-year-old son. And that's gold, right? Now, my daughters, are they gamers? Not really. I mean, they've got my old PS3 in one of them's bedroom, but that's it, right? And that's all they're playing. They're playing some old games on that. And, they also have played Wizards 101 in the past, which is like, to me, it's like the intro deck to World of Warcraft, but they'll play for a little while and they'll get bored with it. They're not really gamers. All of us have played games like Pokemon in the past where we walk around together, which is kind of nice. But my wife, that one's hard to crack. She's not doing it. There's nothing. I want to play games. It's my time to do this. And even tonight when I'm getting ready to do my show, she goes, "Oh, I forgot you have that thing tonight." She didn't mean it maliciously, but there's no connection there. So if I have to separate myself from the gaming community, it's, a lot of it specifically to make sure that I'm doing things that she wants to do, since she's very, I'll say lenient. I don't mind that. She's very lenient on the things that I like to do. So that's nice, right? So that's it for the topic. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, right? Send me an email, questions@growngg.com. Give me your thoughts. If you think I'm full of shit, let me know that too. I want to hear all that stuff. Leave me some reviews. I do have some feedback from last week. It's always nice when you just start a brand new show and you're already getting feedback from different places. I enjoy it. So last week I talked about getting outside and gaming, how you can't look at it as one or the other. If you'd rather him play games than tap away on an iPad, you're giving him the one or the other piece. And one of my guildies, we've been together for a long time. He said that Pokemon Go and Ingress are 2 games that involve gaming and being outdoors. And I agreed with him. And I asked him at that point, I said, well, have you seen all the negativity out there? For those of you who don't know what Ingress is, well, I'm sorry, but you should try it. It's app and GPS based like Pokemon, but I figure most of you do. When that was coming out, you didn't hear anything about that, right? Because it wasn't very popular. When Pokemon came out this year, though, even the local radio DJs did everything they could to find some kind of bullshit dirt out there to make fun of the game. That just drove me nuts. So he said, yes, I've heard the negativity, but I've also heard many stories about parents of autistic children, or autistic child, suddenly having to accompany them outside, which they never did, and talking to strangers, which they never did, because Pokemon brought out something. It seems the interest now has diminished because it's no longer new, and like any game, there is grinding to get gear. I play when I walk and run, the phone buzz where a Pokemon is close, and sometimes mix it in between Ingress portals. And there are the stories, and then there are the stories of parents bonding with their kids because suddenly there's something in common they can do. We talked about that, right? A sort of bond with my nephew and my niece since they don't have a data plan on their phones. I'm going to assume on their phones, and that's the magic of it right there. So now he kind of he gets back into last week's topic about last week's feedback about gaming versus being outside and how they can mix. And he talks about this week a little bit where you're doing something together with your family. And that's where gaming can be cool. And it doesn't have to be where you're outside. Outside is not always the answer. I love outside. I love it. But that's not always the answer. And that's going to be a thing of mine until the end of time, until people stop looking at it as going outside is magically going to cure this disease of gaming. That's just garbage. We also had a nice little Twitter conversation with Zulgeek out there from Geeks of Azeroth, who, by the way, sounds like what we're going to do. For now, we've got calendars out there. He's going to come on to Grown GG on the 13th, and I'm going to, at their invitation, guest on their show on the 27th. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. That's pretty exciting. This early in the launch, being able to share some ideas with some other shows out there. We're looking forward to it. So, we talked about stigmas last week. Here's what he said. Listening to episode 2, hate the stigmas. Judging others isn't cool. About video games or not. Video games are just more personal. Why is it bad when people enjoy things? Let people like what they like and be happy. Only recently have I personally stopped hiding how much I play games, and especially WoW. Podcasting helped me do that. Totally open about it now and laugh when people judge me about it. Oh well, if they're that closed, it sucks for them. I love what I love, and I'm not going to hide it anymore. I need a cheer for that. A little applause doesn't do it justice. Zul, I'm going to get you a cheer. I'm going to read that again next week and get you a cheer. But anyway, I love it, and that's where I was trying to go with it last week. It's you love what you love. One of the things that I shared with him in this Twitter conversation that I didn't share last week was, you know what? Let's get this going. Oh, it's too loud. There we go. It's a lot more sensuous, right? Anyway, I don't really share what I do. I haven't. But I have let it start slipping here and there a little more. And I don't know what that is. It's not the launch of the cast for sure. This is the third week I'm doing this, so it's not that. And it actually worked out in my favor once. One of my colleagues, we were talking about gaming, and I did let it slip a little bit about Warcraft. And sure as shit, man, he's a closet Blizzard gamer too. So now we're BattleTech friends. We played some games together. It's a good time. So who knows? For all I know, everybody that I work with is a gamer, and they're all going home at night, and they're all doing Legion shit, and they're all having a good time, and they're getting legendaries, and here we are. None of us are talking about it because we all think that we're, I don't know, whatever it is. But anyway, that's a wrap for the show this week. You can find us you found us here. If I'm talking to you and you're listening, you found us somewhere, but we're Google Play Music now, Stitcher, iTunes, Twitter at GrownGG, Facebook.com/GrownGG. There's nothing on there. I haven't done anything with it yet. YouTube. Go to the website, GrownGG.com. There's all the links there with the little icons that aren't even the same size. I got to fix that shit sometime this week too. And Twitch.tv/GrownGG, 7:30 Eastern Time on Sunday nights. And that'll do it. I felt that was a clusterfuck. Is that a clusterfuck? Sorry for the language. I'm not posting this. Well, not the end of it, anyway. Right? I got tongue twisted a lot tonight, man. That really sucked. See what people are saying. I posted that I was going live soon on Facebook. And I kept getting distracted because people were... What are they saying? Can you send me the link? Your desk is so clean. No, it's not. It's not so clean. It's actually pretty fucked up right now. Anyway, hey, thanks for joining. We're gonna get this audio up soon. We did go for longer this time, about 45 minutes. But I talked a little bit much about the news at the beginning. So, oh wait, damn it. Here we go. Oh, that's like a letdown, right? It's like, I came here to listen to advice, and what we got was Mike's boring interpretation of whatever the fuck he wanted to talk about. Oh. Anyway, hey, thanks for coming. See you later.